Tristan, and to Explorations in Pro Wrestling. Cheers to you, audience. Stone Cold Shot Glass. That's the bottom line.
That's the best way to start an interview over. All right.
I'm gonna have to take the laptop outside just so I can smoke a cigarette while I'm
All right. So to start out, so do you prefer Doc, Colonel, Nolan, Angus, maybe?
Honestly, Colonel's fine, Nolan's fine, Doc Colonel's fine. I've been called so many different things by so many different people at this point. I don't as long as it's not asshole. I'll even take asshole. I call him asshole. Yeah, I'm about to say the dickheads from the shots there. They call me asshole. But no, Colonel is usually what I tend to answer to in the wrestling world.
So where did the Doctor come from?
It's a combination of when I first got into wrestling like 7 years ago, I was, and still am to a degree, a diehard Hunter S. Thompsonite, and the Doctor was always one of those things we figured, well, people aren't going to believe I'm actually a colonel, despite the fact that I am. So we might as well actually put a fake title in there too. So we put Doctor in there. That makes the colonel a little believable.
Wait, so you actually are a colonel then?
I am. Hold on 1 second. Hold that thought. Here's the proof, right here for the whole world to see.
There it is.
I am a colonel.
A Kentucky colonel.
Stephen Bashir said so, and he was the governor, so he might still be. I don't remember, but no.
Hey, that's legit.
I am a colonel. That's real.
All right, so this whole interaction between us kind of started on Twitter a few weeks ago. You posted, and I'm quoting now, "The myth, the character overtook the man. He doesn't exist anymore, just a fable, carefully, exquisitely crafted to do just what it did." What were you referring to there?
Well, I posted a comment about this. I was hired to be a marketing director for a newspaper.
Okay.
And part of that is being the social media director. So I've developed a game plan for him. I've developed a marketing plan for him. And I really had the ball rolling. Then they found my Twitter, which I told them about from the beginning. It was on the resume, everything else, but they didn't look into it until after they had already hired me and we got the ball rolling.
Right.
So they asked me to begin differentiating between Doc Colonel and Nolan Phillips.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, Doc Colonel was born out of Nolan Phillips. It is who I am to some extent. I think we can all see where the line kind of blurs, or where I think we can see where the line's defined at. You can definitely, if you know me in my personal life, you know where Nolan is. You know where the Colonel is, and you know that they're both kind of the same guy, but any of the horrible, hilarious things that you want to say in your day-to-day life that you can't get away with, I can blame that on the Colonel. It's pro wrestling is an exercise in multiple personality disorder, and I certainly am guilty of it to some extent. But when they called me into the office about 2 weeks ago, they said, look, we can't distinguish between you and this character online. We feel your digital footprint as the Colonel is so large that we can't find Nolan in all of the noise. And I said, well, that was very intentional. We created this character and put it out there, or we took this part of myself, I think is a better way to phrase it. And we put it out there for the whole world to see, and we blew it so largely out of proportion to be a caricature. And that in itself would hide my personal life from the real world. So we put this caricature out there. We make it as wild and as abrasive as we have, and I think it's the reason I've had the minimal success that I have in pro wrestling. But we put it out there as hard as we could. And anytime you go out there, you're the drunk asshole that for some reason people really love to hate. And we did. We just kept on making noise and kept on building that character, and eventually the character overtook the man. People can no longer distinguish where I am and where Doc Colonel is as two different things. They only see one if you look at me only through the lens of the internet.
Yeah.
So it's a weird life, and I as a Thompsonite, I remember hearing Hunter S. Thompson say that in an interview once. He said that people would come to him and say, where's this wild, crazy son of a bitch that we've read stories about for years and who's been published in every, Rolling Stones magazine with all these wild, crazy stories and all his books and all this. And he said, he felt like the myth and the legend that he had created for himself, this fictional, almost fictional character, had overtaken who he really was, that he never expressly intended to just be the Hunter S. Thompson from the books, or the Rawl Duke, or whatever name they choose to go by. But he was kind of forced to, when everyone he knew and everyone who he interacted with in his day-to-day life only believed that character to exist. They would show up and say, "Why aren't you blowing up a car?" And he'd say, "Well, because it's fucking Saturday." and yeah, it certainly. I love it. I wouldn't trade it for the world, and I'm sure 100,000 people, if not millions, would give a lot to have done and been where I've gotten to be. But understand that there's another side to that coin. We try and protect our personal lives if there is such a thing any longer, and it doesn't. There is no perfect way to do that. Sometimes wrestling is going, even if it's not your primary focus, wrestling is going to have to be some of your primary focus because it's what the whole world knows you for. If you ever put yourself out there at all, then that's the paper trail you've left behind for everyone. As much as I say character, it's still part of who I am. It's
Absolutely.
not so much the character as it is just a violent drunk that lives somewhere in the depths of my mind.
So I hope that turned out okay.
No, I've done multiple jobs. I'm a freelancer, so that was something that was going to be a little more steady for me to pay the bills while I was in school, so that I could focus more on school and finally finish a degree. But I decided, if that's not meant to be, it's not meant to be. You keep on going, and I keep on doing all the other things. Wrestling. I posted about a week ago. A friend of mine in Louisville and I are working on a comic together based around our misadventures,
Cool.
which someday will also include pro wrestling. Once hopefully the comic book takes off, I'd love for everyone to get on board with that and support it. And I think the wrestling community especially will really find parts of it endearing to them. But yeah, you keep on working, you keep on moving, man. I didn't like wearing a tie anyway. So.
Yeah. All right. So I feel like I've heard maybe this isn't true, but I feel like I've heard conflicting stories about your legs. One is that you've got, some sort of medical problem that forces you to use a wheelchair. Another one was that you lost them in a war. What's the real story there? I mean,
I suffer from temporary paralysis, meaning that the majority of my time they don't work, but every once in a while God sees fit to bless me with the ability to move them. Now we've found it to be an odd coincidence because they work fine outside of the world of wrestling, but it seems like the damnedest thing. As soon as the day of the booking hits, the legs go out. We got to throw the damn wheelchair in the car, and you drive it across country, and you have your friends who hate doing it pull it out of the car and set it down next to it. And you have to throw your body into another chair, and they wheel you in the venue, and everybody calls you a goldbreaker. That's the term, right? Goldbreaker. Yeah, goldbreaker. That's right. The crew's back in. Everybody calls you a goldbreaker because they think you can walk when you can't. They're just assholes. So that's for you, America. Yeah. But this fella named Justin, he would get hammered drunk and he would roll around in the wheelchair. He'd steal it from me and he'd roll around the apartment complex in this goddamn wheelchair on two wheels, telling people that he was legitimately handicapped, and he wasn't at all. He was a gold digger if ever there lived. Well, one day he wheels down to this extremely hot girl's apartment 2 doors down, and she's drunk enough that she doesn't realize who it is and that he's not really crippled. And while he's in her house at the party, like he just kind of let himself into her home and her party, he looks at her and says, "Where's the bathroom in this place?" And she says, "Oh, it's through my bedroom." And she leads him into the bathroom, where she proceeds to fellatiate him in my wheelchair.
So, what's your drink of choice then? Is it? I mean, I see you've got a Miller High Life or something there. You just took a shot of whiskey or something.
Whiskey and beer.
And whatever that man's holding. There it is. Okay.
That's the one of choice right there. It's an empty bottle now, but yeah, Kentucky Gentleman whiskey. It is dirt cheap. What, about $10 for a gallon? It's terrible. You have to have just a rot gut to handle it. But it's delicious, and I love it. So. And cheap beer. I'm a big fan of cheap beer. So.
I like orange juice.
Yeah, Miller High Life plus orange juice in a plastic champagne glass. That's an Orange Cassidy.
Okay. Now I know.
The recipe out right here. He'll tell you. It's on his Twitter somewhere.
All
Real
right.
quick, we're gonna take a break for a plug here.
Yep.
That's Mouthpiece Designs.
There it is.
Roger, I'm sure it's backwards or something. I don't know, but anyway, he's on Twitter at Mouthpiece Designs or Mouthpiece GFX at Mouthpiece GFX on Twitter. He designs T-shirts, logos for pro wrestlers, everybody, websites. I mean, you name it. Come here, you can tell him what you design. I don't know.
That clears it up.
He says that clears it up, but his back of the card says he's got a 141 2/3% chance of exceeding your expectations. The numbers don't lie, and they spell your success. All right,
That's awesome.
There's your plug. So.
That's one of my favorite promos there.
Ours through.
All right, so I personally think the Gentleman's Club is probably like one of the best things on the internet. It started out amazing, and it just kept getting better.
I'm so surprised how much better it got, because I really thought we were going to peak with the first episode, and then it's a year and a half later, we're still going. So.
Are you still making episodes? It's been a while since the last one.
Well, we're all in very different places right now,
Okay.
so it makes it hard to keep it going. But
Yeah.
there's a wealth of footage, and I think it's more just waiting to see if the time allows.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
We're all still friends. We're all still working together.
All right, a little off topic. Due to the similarities in characters, what's your opinion on Zeb Coulter?
I think that being on the Indies, I was allowed to tap into something that I saw coming online and in society a little faster than the WWE was allowed to.
Oh, that never happens. That's
Exactly. It's not that he, stole a gimmick or anything. It's that someone had to fill that void, and there was either you risk it on a new guy, an unheard of, or you get an old redneck who actually believes most of that shit, and they chose the old redneck. So, I think he does a wonderful job. I think he's horribly offensive, and that's the idea.
absolutely.
And I think having him stand next to Cesaro and pat him on the back is just a bigger, rubbing of the nose in it. So yeah, he's killing it. He's killing it. He's doing a good job. He's putting someone I care about over. So it's hard for me to be anywhere even close to upset about it.
Yep.
Yeah, man, he's dragging some big ugly white kid around with him too. So that's what I would have done. So.
So, what do you think about Drew Gulak's CZW run?
Drew Gulak is the best CZW heavyweight champion that there will ever be, bar none.
Will ever be.
has been or will ever be.
Wow.
Drew Gulak is, and I'm okay saying it. I'm completely, I'm sold on him because he's my buddy. But I became friends with him because I looked up to him because he was a peer. He's someone I wanted to be a peer, to have as a peer, and I sought out his criticisms, and I was willing to take his criticisms, and with that grew a mutual friendship. Drew Gulak is the hardest working wrestler in that company right now. No offense to anyone else, because they all bust their asses and kill themselves over there. But Drew is pound for pound the best technical wrestler on the Indies right now. And I argue anyone to put up another candidate for that. So I challenge anyone to put up another candidate for that. He's the best.
One of our first interviews was with Jervis Cottonbelly. Actually, that was our first interview. It was Jervis Cottonbelly, and that's by far like the weirdest interview too, I would say.
Did he wear the mask? Of course he wore the mask.
Yeah, that was.
I've seen him come out of bathroom stalls wearing the mask.
It's a good mask. So we spoke with Jervis, and he said he had an interest in joining the Gentleman's Club because he felt that he could bring Gentlemania to the Gentleman's Club and perhaps make you all a little bit more, gentlemanly. Would you consider Jervis joining the group?
I don't know. Would we consider Gentleman Jervis joining the Gentleman's Club? We operate on a really high level of class and professionalism.
This is true.
And Jervis he's new to this, I'm not certain he's quite ready. We'd have to take a vote at the very least.
Well, I heard that at least Chuck Taylor had reservations about letting Jervis join.
Yeah, he seems I don't know. He seems a little yellow.
He's actually already had a gentleman's club before over in England. He had a tag team with Mike Holmes, and they were called the Gentleman's Club. But he assured me there was no similarities between that group and your Gentleman's Club.
No, heavens no. If he says otherwise, he's a liar. Oh, sorry. Indigestion. I'm gonna need another beers.
So, we were wondering, the first time you met Swamp Monster, right? You got kind of drug off to somewhere. I was kind of wondering where Swamp Monster took you.
I'm still not certain any of that ever really happened. So, I'm just saying it right now. And that thing smells, if it's real, and I'm fairly certain it's real at this point, but it is the most foul-smelling thing on the planet. I don't know where it drug me off to. I woke up in Philadelphia at the Trocadero several months later, and that's the next thing I literally remember. You can hear me screaming in the balcony when I come to during. Let's see here. That was the year Tim Donst lost his hair to Hallowicked and maybe Chikarasaurus Rex, How to Hatch a Dinosaur. I think
that sounds right.
But yeah, something along those lines. It's the first time Green Ant dove from a balcony to that. That must be a crazy rush. He's addicted to it now.
Yeah. The best thing is that he can say that's the first time that he's done that.
It's a slight addiction when it gets to that point. That was the first time. I'm on number 37 this year.
So since we're on the topic actually of balconies and Swamp Monster, Swamp Monster was seen a few months back in a balcony with Lance Steele, and there was this really suggestive picture on the internet where it kind of looks like there might be some canoodling going on between Swamp Monster and Lance Steele. I don't know if you knew anything about it. Maybe they were a couple. Maybe they came out and.
I'm outdated here. I'm old-fashioned. What the hell's canoodling?
I'm not sure what the Swamp Monster term for that is.
but it's like some weird.
Yeah, I don't know. There was something going on there.
Alright.
Maybe.
Sexual deviancy.
Yeah.
No,
yeah, right.
I don't think I think the swamp monster's asexual, and it's coming out as just saying I like myself a lot. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't understand it, but I've never seen it go in either bathroom, so I don't know. That's weird. Oh God, that just thinking about it makes me sick. Though that thing really does. It smells like the inside of every wrestler's gym bag on the planet. Like it's foul. It's
So
anyway.
at King of Trios, he got arrested by Condor security. Did you ever hear why he was arrested? I mean, I saw you guys broke him out, but beyond that,
We're not allowed to talk about that, unfortunately.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's still ongoing. So you'll have to speak to Drew Gulak about that. He's the legal eagle.
okay. Can you talk a little bit about your campaign to become the first president of Kentucky?
I can. They have told me that apparently Kentucky didn't secede from the nation during my 2-year blackout there. Yet, we're still petitioning.
Do you have a plan going forward for the secession, or?
Oh no, we're just fighting for the secession right now. Once we secede, I assume that I will instantly be chosen as the first leader, right?
I think that's how that works. Yeah, that sounds right.
No one else has been campaigning. I'm running unopposed. So I think I'm a lock.
All right. What's your opinion of Uha Nation?
Wuhan Nation is terrifying. And not only is he terrifying because of his size and build, but because Wuhan Nation can... I didn't say that. Because of his size and his build. But because of what he can do in the ring. Uha is capable of flying in ways that, like... It reminds me of watching Mike Awesome. Like, you see a huge guy,
Yeah.
and then they dive halfway across the arena and fly through the air like Superman. That's extra scary for me, because I don't think I can catch that, like, at all.
You may have a good chance. I don't know. You've got that extra support with the wheelchair and all. Maybe you can. I don't know.
It might, God willing, it'll just kill us both instantly.
All right. I've got 2 last questions, and then we're going to go to some questions from Twitter. First, who is your favorite wrestling manager of all time?
Dr. Colonel Nolan Angus.
No.
No, that's a tough one. I love Paulie Dangerously promos. And his ability to put someone over while he's giving the promo is second to none. The guy, I actually heard an argument earlier today about how he can be a misogynist and run down a woman, but he does it in such a creepy, sleazy way that it only empowers the woman more. And how he was the only wrestling manager to ever do that. And you think about moments like that, his weird little, the sneer that he does from side to side. It's also very subtly perfect. He adds so much in dimension to the story. That said, I love Bobby Heenan as well. Bobby Heenan was great in commentary. He added depth to the matches. So I don't know. It's a coin toss.
All right. What wrestlers or managers should fans be following today?
Chuck Taylor. I'm going to be biased because I really believe that the guys I work with are the very best. So I have to put Chuck and Drew Gulak and Orange Cassidy right up there. The roles that they are asked to fill and the things that they are able to do are incredible. And their ability to fill their spot on the card is incredible. And I consider myself very lucky to be a part of that. Jake Durden is a giant monster of a man who I don't think has had proper certainly follow him. I think the tag team, the Hooligans, are wild to watch and see, along with the entire Chikara roster, former Chikara roster. Every God bless, every one of them was amazing. I can sit and watch Green Ant wrestle all day. It's a really good show. Bull Bronson, yeah, he's another big man who goes out there, and I really enjoy his matches. Bull's fast. He's deceptively fast for as large as he is, and it reminds me of watching Bam Bam Bigelow, and that was one of those horrible losses. So having someone fill in that void or trying to fill that void is pretty cool. I think that's about it. Yeah.
All right.
I think I plugged enough people there.
Yeah.
Darren Corbin can fuck himself.
All right, going to Twitter. Pete Fernandez at Pete Fernandez on Twitter. He sent in like
Don't read them.
a lot of questions. I don't think I'm gonna ask all of them, but some of them are like, legitimately good. So I'm gonna go ahead and go there.
Fire away.
All right. How close are you at being recognized by the state of Kentucky for your excellence in excess? And I think that Colonel certificate is maybe that's already there.
Got it. They gave it to me.
Yeah. So,
I got this before Barack Obama became president, so I won.
I mean, that's a check in the box right there, right? Have you gone on any double dates with Swamp Monster, or are you just drinking buddies?
Again, I try not to spend a whole lot of time right next to the thing because I can smell, and it does smell, so it's not real conducive to a friendship.
Does TNA's Extraordinary Gentlemen's Organization owe the Gentlemen's Club anything?
I don't even know what that is. I'm sorry to shit on their product.
That's something that Jeff Jarrett works for.
Yeah, I remember TNA had Jerry Lynn versus Low Key versus AJ Styles in a triple threat ladder match, and it was awesome. And then they pretty much never did anything again. So whatever.
How many sides to the ring do they have nowadays?
Yeah, they're up to how many ring sides do they have? 2 now, right?
Yeah,
There's
they
2
go
sides to
for
the
2.
ring. I think that's what they're down to. They're selling them off.
Yeah, they were they're hurting for money, so you know.
Got 6. Sell off 4 of them, and then they realized that they got the number backwards, but they just went with it.
They let Scott Steiner do their math.
Yeah, Scott Steiner did their math.
Well, I appreciate you speaking with me. If we've got any sort of plugs or anything you want to push, or
Follow me on Twitter at @DocCarl. Follow @SexyChuckyT. Follow @Drew Gulak or whatever the hell his name is on there. @Orange Cassidy. @The Swamp Monster. Buy our T-shirts because they're wonderful. I
yeah,
love them.
t-shirts.
And they're so comfortable. The cotton on them is. Yeah, it's a perfect blend. Just a perfect blend. I don't know. Anyway, yeah, and support indie wrestling. There you go.
All right, good deal.
Hashtag I am Shakara. as I drink a beer. Where she proceeds to fellatiate him.